not undertake to update them. A statement in this regard is available for reference in the presentation. We will begin the call with opening remarks from Mr. Mithun Chand, who will address updates on the market environment and take you through the strategic imperatives of the company. We will then have the forum open for an interactive Q&A session. I would now like to invite Mr. Mithun Chand to share his views. Over to you, Mithun.
Thank you. Good day, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all of you. I hope all of you are safe and healthy as we battle across the pandemic together. We are happy with our progress in the quarter and 9 months under review. For 9 months, financial year 21, revenue stood at rupees 922.05 crore as against rupees 867.23 crore for 9 months financial year 20, a growth of about 12%. Operating EBITDA margins excluding other income stood at 32.29% in 9 months financial year 21 versus 30.66% in the corresponding 9 months. PAT at rupees 319.82 crore as is higher by 31.2%. Our balance sheet remains strong. Total cash on books as on December 31st, 2020 stood at rupees 455 crore. As you are aware, almost all this cash is invested in mutual fund schemes of varying durations. Moving on to our business performance. Cotton seed volumes are marginally lower by 2%. We have gained market shares in cotton in Gujarat and Haryana, while there have been slight losses in the states of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. The contribution of new product remains strong at 35%. Industry-wide, cotton acreages have been largely stable. Growth of our non-cotton portfolio continues to be strong, improving by 34.18% for the 9 months under review. Hybrid rice and selection rice have both performed well, growing by 47.72% and 49.98% respectively. Our new launches in selection rice, Chintu, Prize and Sampurna, have all performed very encouragingly. Maize volumes are higher by 19.11% and revenue by 13.6%. Again, when supported by new product launches, whose contribution stood at 9.27% by volume. As we had earlier indicated in Rabi, maize acreages have been lower by about 10% due to poor commodity prices. Vegetable sales, which is a key focus area for Kaveri seed, saw strong volume growth of 150% for the year to date. The key growth drivers were hot pepper, tomato, gourds and okra. Going forward, we continue to be positive about the prospects of our hybrids in maize and millet and our vegetable portfolio. The vegetable market in particular is valued at rupees 30 billion and growing at 20%. Kaveri's market share is extremely low, giving us ample opportunity to grow and establish our presence. Further, on the back of the successful launch of CLCV virus resistant hybrids in hot pepper market, we have identified a few more CLCV virus resistant hybrids and plan to introduce 2 new hybrids in the coming years. On that note, I conclude my opening remarks. We would be happy to give you our perspective on any questions that you may have. I would request the operator on this call to open question and answer session. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin with the question and answer session. Anyone wishing to ask a question may please press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is on the line of Nitin Awasthi from East India Securities. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. So I'd just like to understand what is happening on the maize front, because as what I was looking at the numbers, what I realized was although the area under acreage is down by 10%, it seems like our volumes are down close to 30%. And maize being the major revenue driver this quarter last time around, that's what has impacted our margins. That's what has impacted our top line.
Yeah, if you see the overall acreages for the Rabi crop, the maize volumes are down. In particular for Kaveri, the maize volumes are down by more than 20% compared to previous year. Basically, the areas in like Bihar and the areas where we are stronger like Bihar and Andhra have been impacted a lot. That's the reason you see more impact in terms of revenues from maize. But as if you go as a crop, maize in a long-term view, it looks very good. Now the commodity prices are also improved, and we still very bullish on maize crop going forward down the line.
Got it, sir. Secondly, sir, this time around our employee expenses and other expenses were higher Q on Q. So could you shed some light on that?
So as we are continuously adding employees for the growth, and we are investing a lot in the R&D programs, so that's where the employee cost is going up. And in terms of the other expenses, it almost remains slightly higher because we are doing some seed promotion activities for the further years that is coming up. Otherwise, it's in line with our program. And if you see year on year, being a lean quarter as a percentage, it might look higher, but it's in line with the overall 9 months figure.
Got it, sir. So lastly, on the rice front, we are doing extremely well, as indicated by the company earlier also, that rice will be the major focus and it will become the major revenue garner for the company. What I would like to understand is how much of this increase in sales has come in from the existing markets and how much has come in because of addition of newer markets.
If you talk about rice, we are one of the largest players. In fact, we are almost on the second largest player in rice. We are almost present across all geographies. But to answer your question, we have increased the market share in the most of the areas where we are operating. So that's the main growth driver for rice. And if you see as a portfolio, rice is close to 25% of our overall portfolio, and the second to cotton now. And going forward, also we see good growth in hybrid rice.
Got it. Lastly, sir, on the rice front, what would be the market share difference between you and the leader currently?
Right now, in terms of the hybrid rice, we are close to 11 to 12% of the market shares now, 10 to 11% of the market shares. The leader is close to like 27-28%.
Okay, got it. And on the hybrid rice front, if you could just last question, what is the industry growth rate, hybridization in rice right now?
Right now, it's like 8 to 10% growth this year overall in hybrid rice. It's if you see in the last 10 years, it's growing at a pace of 5 to 7% year on year.
Got it, sir. Thank you so much for answering the question. Best of luck for the upcoming quarters.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Chetan Doshi from Tulsi Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon. Congratulations for the good numbers. I have two questions. One is the other income for the 9 months is shot up by almost 180%. And the second question is last con call you promised that yes, we are going to support small shareholders and there will be an announcement of buyback, but it has not come till in February. So how you are going to reward your shareholders in the current year when you are making such excellent profit?
To answer your first question regarding the other income, if you see the other income, most of the other income, and not most, the entire other income is generated by the investment activities in the mutual funds, what we have as a free cash flow. So some funds have matured in the earlier quarters, and even this quarter that has resulted in 9 months growth. So whereas in last year the majority of the other income came in the fourth quarter. So if you see year-on-year basis, it should be in line with the last year numbers. And if you come back to the buyback point, yes, we have recently completed 1 year. So only in this week the entire procedure was completed. But as a management view, we are keen to distribute or reward to the shareholder. That will definitely, in the mind of the board of directors, definitely that will let you know the plan in the coming quarters.
And how much you plan to end up this year? You will cross 1,000.
Fourth quarter is a very lean quarter for us. colors are expected, but it should be in terms of the revenue, it should be in line with this year numbers, and the other things will remain same. As you say, last year it was only 45 or 50 crores of revenue came in the fourth quarter, so that's very insignificant number for us.
Yeah, but this year you are concentrating on new products like vegetables, and also the growth will come from this new products.
But it's a very lean quarter. See, other crops,
Okay.
so it's a very lean quarter for us. So hardly in terms of vegetables, we will be doing better than last year, but all other crops remain same. So not much impact on the top line.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nishit Shah from Equitas Investments. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir, and thank you for this opportunity. Sir, I want to understand in our non-cotton side, so going forward, do we see our realizations moving up, or everything would be from the volume side, the growth?
There might be a slight increase in terms of the margin side also. If you see compared to previous year to now, we have for the first 9 months we are up by almost like 1.5 to 2% in terms of the EBITDA margins. So going forward, there might be a slight increase in terms of the margins also as we are moving in the non-cotton segment.
Okay. And coming, sir, particularly to the maize segment, so our volumes are up 19%, but the revenues are up only 14%. So do we see some competitive pressure over there, or what are the issues over there?
Basically, the Rabi crop contributes to the majority of the revenue. We were up in the Kharif part.
Yes.
Kharif, the selling price, average selling price is lower than the Rabi part. That we have increased volume in the Kharif. That's the reason you see a slight impact in terms of revenues.
Okay. Sir, and going forward, what is our target for R&D spends? Are we planning to ramp this up significantly, or it would be in the similar range of 3% what we have been doing in the past?
If you see in the last years, we are consistently increasing our spend on the R&D. At the same time, we are growing in the top line also. That also we need to consider. So in terms of the spend, we are added many people, we are added new labs, and we are consistently increasing our spend on R&D. And going forward also, by seeing the size and this, we are spending much better than the industry, and it will be in line with that. And the other point, what we need to observe here is that most of the facilities are our own facilities. That's the reason you see a slight decline in terms of R&D expenditure.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhijit Akela from IIFL Securities. Please go ahead.
For the opportunity. Just a few questions related to some of the new products in some of the segments. So first of all, the new products you define as products launched in the last how many years? Is it 3 years or 4, 5 years? How is it defined?
Basically, the 3 years what we take as because from the time of the introduction it takes at least 3 years. Still we consider the new product. 3 to 4 years based on the introduction of it.
Right. And this in rice, KPH 468 seems to have done extremely well in the last, maybe 3 years since it has been introduced.
Yes.
So if you could, is it possible to share some sense of, how much of the hybrid rice is from this particular hybrid, and how much it has scaled up in the last few years, and what do you see the potential of this product as? I believe the rice market overall is some 60,000, 65,000 tons overall in India. How do you see this product possibly scaling up, before it reaches peak maturity?
If you see 468, it's almost like 3 years where we are seeing a continuous growth of it, and close to 60%, 50 to 60% of our hybrid portfolio is from 468. If you see the product, this is the hybrid potential, still it has a potential to double. And it's much more than double going forward. So that's a very promising hybrid, and still it will do well. And to support that, we are introducing some other hybrids in different segments in hybrid rice, which will also contribute for the growth going forward.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, in terms of, say, volumes for, your rice portfolio, would you have any, target market share in this 60,000 ton market, say, over the next 5 years or so? Where do you expect to end up?
Definitely, we want to be leader in the market, hybrid rice market. And if you see the industry growth and our growth is much higher than the industry growth. And by seeing the product performance and by seeing the pipeline hybrid, we are pretty confident that we'll be leader in hybrid rice in the next 5 to 7 years.
And I mean, any color you could give in terms of what differentiates your hybrids from what's already in the market, why you are gaining share?
Basically, there are many attributes for that. One might be the yield, other is a disease resistant, and other is a value added. I mean, it's like pest resistant or the virus resistant. So these are the factors which actually make the hybrid performance better. So we are developing hybrids which are resistant to most of the pests and giving a better yield. Not only yield in terms of the grain and in terms of the other factors.
Okay, got it. Just one last thing on rice, and maybe I'll come back for more. You did 85 crores from hybrid rice last year in FY20. This year you seem to be on track for 135 crores or so, so about 50 crore increase YOY. Can we expect a similar kind of increase next year also, like 50, 60 crores at least further growth in this?
We are anticipating at least 20 to 25% of growth in rice. That's what we said. And we should be slightly above that. But we are pretty confident for the 20 to 25% growth.
Okay, fine. Thank you. I'll come back in the queue for more.
Yeah, right.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question. That is on the line of Viraj Kacharia from Securities Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity and congratulations for good set of numbers. First question was on the hybrid rice. So you said, we've been growing our volumes much higher than the industry rate. So who are we gaining the market share from?
So we are gaining from most of the companies. There are many companies who are losing it. We can't name in specific, but as a whole, we are gaining it. If you see as an industry, we said that it has grown by 8 to 10%, but as a company, we have grown by more than 47, 48%. Right. So we are taking some of the market share in that, not specific to any one company.
Okay. So if you were to compare our gap versus the leader, has that kind of shrunk? I mean, so has there been a considerable market share change in the leader itself, or is it the other peripheral or the smaller players that we are able to kind of consolidate and gain from?
So as a leader, they are not able to grow in as what we grow. That itself shows that our hybrids are performing better in most of the cases. So definitely that gives edge for us.
Okay. And just to dwell back on the strategy part, so apart from focus on non-cotton portfolio, a couple of years back, our whole idea was to kind of de-risk from the core concentration we had in terms of the core territories, like AP, Telangana, and the southern market. So how has that changed for us, for major crops? So if you were to compare last 2-3 years, how has that mix changed for us, and how has our market share moved in those new markets where we have,
Except for cotton in Telangana and Andhra, for all other products, we have gained market share across India. Even Tamil Nadu, even in Karnataka, we have gained market share for.
Hello? Hello?
Ladies and gentlemen, the line for the management has got disconnected. Please stay connected while we reconnect the management. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for patiently holding. We now have the lines of the management reconnected. Over to you, sir.
Hi. To come back to the question, like we have gained market shares in Karnataka, both in maize, cotton, and in pearl millet also, even including sunflower. So we in Andhra and Telangana, we were not giving credit to the farmer. That's the reason we have lost market shares. Apart from that, nothing major to worry about it.
But the new markets, so X of AP, Telangana, and Karnataka, how is our sales mix from those geographies, how has that changed, and what is the market share in those regions?
Basically, majority of the hybrid rice moves in northern states only, north and central states. So we again market share there, and even in cotton, even though we are losing market shares here, but we again market shares in Gujarat, Maharashtra, Haryana. So that shows that we are growing across India, not restricted to south.
Okay. And what is the growth we have seen in rice in this particular quarter in volume terms?
We have grown by at least 25%. 35%, I think. 35 to 40%.
How does it compare with the market?
The market is just like 6 to 8%, not more than that.
Okay. Just one more question on rice. Typically what we see is that whenever we launch any new product introductions, they come at a slightly better realizations, and but when we look at our overall 9 months number as well for both volume and overall sales, we have not seen any major delta or change in the realization part and rice part. So just trying to understand, is it that the old legacy portfolio is kind of seeing more pressure or moderation in prices, or how should we assess?
So majority of the rice market is from 468, which was introduced 3-4 years back.
Right.
So the realizations are same, and we realize one of the highest realizations in the market. Mm-hmm. So slightly it will improve, but in terms of the volume is the one which drives the majority of the thing rather than the realization part. As we are selling at one of the highest prices.
Right. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rohit Nagaraj from Sunidhi Securities. Please go ahead. Mr. Nagaraj, your line is in the talk mode. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first question is in terms of the cotton seed placement. So if I remember last year, same quarter, we had indicated that to avoid giving any cash discounts, we had slightly postponed the seed placement. So what is the current scenario in terms of the same?
It's not in terms of the seed placements, but it might be in terms of the advances, collection of advances. So we are following the same strategy as last year. We are not collecting much advances from the market. So it will continue like last year itself.
Yes. And again on cotton, so this year we have a marginal 2% degrowth. How are we looking at for next year in terms of the cotton acreage and in terms of our growth from the lower base of this year?
I think the cotton acreages should remain stable this year itself. Initially, we thought that it should be negative for cotton this year, but by seeing the present commodity prices, it should be stable. And in cotton, as we see that as we are improving our market shares in northern India, so we see a growth of like 5 to 10% in cotton next year.
All right, that's quite good to hear. So the other question is in terms of the exports. So where are we currently in exports? I believe that currently our majority of exports come from Bangladesh. So what is the strategy in terms of expanding the geographical coverage over the next maybe 2 to 3 years?
We have sent samples to almost 9 to 10 countries, including Bangladesh, neighboring countries, African countries, and Southeast Asian countries, and the results are encouraging. Slowly, we have done small shipments of that, but definitely it will take another 2 to 3 years to get the initial breakthrough. And this year, because of pandemic, we face some issues in terms of exporting the seed and other parts. That has also impacted to some extent of our exports. But on a longer term view, exports is the one which we are focusing on, and that should definitely add to the revenues going forward.
Sure. And so just last question on the guidance. So earlier we had guided on a long-term basis, top line will grow by about 10 to 15%, and the bottom line more than that. So particularly talking about FY22, in first 9 months, the bottom line has grown by almost 32%. So do we see us higher than top line growth in FY22. So if I say a 10% is top line growth, the bottom line growth on a higher base would be maybe 12-13%.
I mean to say, if you take out the PAT levels, the other income is also included in that. That's the reason it shows like 30%. But if you take out the other income, it's in and around the 20% growth of bottom line. Still for the next year also, we go with the same guidance of 10-15% of the top line and 15-20% of the bottom line.
Thanks a lot and best of luck, sir.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question. That is on the line of Anurag Jain from Green Lantern Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. I had a couple of questions. One was on next market opportunity. So
sorry to interrupt, Mr. Jain. Sir, your voice is breaking up.
Okay. Am I audible now? Is it better?
Yes, much better. Thank you.
Sure. So one of the questions was on export market, which you briefly touched. Any sense how big this opportunity can be over 4-5 years?
So right now we are doing close to 20 crores of revenue in exports. Going forward, it can be definitely like close to 100 crores in the next 5 years. The industry itself is growing, and most of the countries are opting for Indian seed. So definitely we might go in those levels, but those are our plans, which are a bit aggressive, but we can looks like we can achieve it.
Fair enough. Similarly, on vegetables market, what is your sense? How much market share can we gain in 4-5 years' time? So you said it's a 3,000 crore market, 20% growth. What is the size possible?
To start the year with, we said that we want to be 100 crore revenue in the next 5 years' time. But if you see the current revenue compared to previous year, we are almost like 30 crores compared to last year's 23 crores figure. And if you compare quarter-on-quarter basis, like till 9 months, we were like 14 crores in vegetables for the first 9 months, whereas we are close to 30 crores in the first 9 months. So we will be growing much better than what we said that, like we said that like 30-35% in vegetables, but we are almost like grown by say almost 100% this year for the first 9 months. Year on year, it should be like 70-80% growth than the compared to previous years. So vegetables, we are pretty sure that as we given a guidance of 100 crores in the next 5 years, it looks pretty much achievable by the growth what we have achieved this year.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sure. So one question on export markets I forgot to ask: how is the profitability there versus the domestic markets?
Right now, it's slightly lower than what we realize in domestic market, but you know that it's the initial stage of the marketing part of it. The costs are a bit higher, but going forward, we can definitely have a better margins than the local, in the domestic one.
Perfect. So one last question, which was on the seasonality of the business. So while I understand that major part of the business comes in Q1 and 2 quarters essentially, is it so slightly streamlined?
I missed your question between your voice was not audible properly.
Sure. So my question was, now that we are adding new products like vegetables, millets, etc., is it possible, and exports as well? So is it possible that over a period of time, the seasonality of the business goes down rather than 2 quarters being most prominent? Some normalization can happen. Is it possible, or it will remain
that we don't see a huge shift in that, because most of the crops where we operate, like cotton, like more than 95% of the cotton comes in the first quarter itself, and rice and maize both comes in the first quarter, majority of that. So I think as we are growing in those segments also, there may not be quantum shift in that, but definitely in terms of the absolute revenues, quarter on quarter, will definitely see increase in the absolute revenues.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. That's all from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sarvesh Gupta from Max Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thank you for taking my question. Congratulations for a decent set of numbers. I had just two questions. One is, if there is any update on the income tax related issues which were covered in some of the news stories earlier. So, on that, are there some work which is being done by the income tax department in terms of, because we are not paying any taxes, so any update or any sense on that particular issue you can give me?
So till date, we don't have any dispute regarding the agricultural income. We have not received any communication from the income tax department regarding the agricultural income as such. Apart from that, if we receive any communication from any of the department, definitely we'll let you know.
Okay. And because you are doing it in the sense of contract farming, so has there been any, I could not understand whether this should be taxable or not taxable. So have you got a good sense on, what is the issue that they might be wanting to probe?
So that I don't have much idea about that. See, in terms of the income filing, we are doing it for the last 13 years. Most of the assessments are already done. So if there is any issue regarding that, definitely we'll let you know as we receive the communication, because we can't anticipate what their question might be.
Understood. And secondly, on the cash on the books now, again we have like 400-500 crore cash, which is higher than what we want to carry in the steady state as you have guided. So also in terms of our buyback, I think 1 year duration has also lapsed in mid-January. So how are we thinking about buybacks or distribution of this cash to the shareholders going forward?
Yeah, I've already answered this question earlier. Anyhow, I will again repeat the same thing. As I said that it's just completed the 1 year now. We as our intention is to reward the shareholders going forward. That our intention remains intact, and definitely based on the board meeting decision, we'll take the appropriate decision going forward.
Okay. Thank you, sir, and all the best for the coming quarters.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sumant Kumar from Motilal Oswal. Please go ahead.
So my question regarding cotton segment. So we have seen in FY15 we reached 8.6 million packet. After that, we are still far below that number. And with the increase in the cotton prices currently, and acreage is likely to increase. So from 7 million packet or 7.1 to 7.2 million packet, can we expect in next year it could be not similar, but we are reaching to that level, and whatever market share we lost in AP and Telangana, we are going to increase or gain that market share?
So regarding cotton, we have told that the guidance will be like 5 to 10% for next year. Also, by seeing the conditions, we don't see the cotton acreage going up, and the 5 to 10% will come from the areas in northern India and central India where we are gaining market shares. So that should contribute for our growth.
Okay. And when talking about you lost market share in one of the key market, couple of key markets. So can you talk about how what are the plan we have, what are the strategy to gain that market share?
So see, basically we cut down our dealer discounts in these markets. That's the reason we are not able to increase our market shares. But otherwise it all looks stable, and we may not change aggressively in terms of this approach going forward also.
Okay. And talking about the overall cotton seeds and non-cotton, what are the EBITDA differential roughly?
Non-cotton crops are more profitable than cotton crops. Non-cotton crops are like upward of 30+%. Cotton is below 20%.
Below 20%. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nitin Awasthi from East India Securities. Please go ahead.
Just question on two segments. One was specifically on cotton segment, but not in India, to the countries you are exporting, specifically in terms of Bangladesh, because an Indian company has been tied up in news for exporting a lot of cotton seeds for the trial and to Bangladesh. So are we also there in the race, and how far are we?
No, we are not exporting any cotton to any other country as we have a tie-up with Monsanto. So our license is restricted to India itself. So we are not tried or tested anything in cotton in Bangladesh.
Okay, got it. And so the second question was on the vegetable front. Once we did our checks, and anybody does their study, they'll realize that vegetable segment is very different from every other segment by the sheer number of companies involved and products which are there in this segment. So is there an approach where the company is looking at developing every product or looking at acquisitions, given that there are so many companies in this space and so many products?
Yeah, so vegetable is a different set of business. We are there in the vegetable for last 15 years, but we are not able to make any dent in that. So we have made a strategy for doing that. We invested heavily in vegetables in the last 10, 12 years, and we are getting new products in that. And we have a specific crops where we are targeting initially based on the market shares. So that is yielding us now.
One of the crops is okra, if I believe.
Okra, tomato, and hot pepper are the three main crops what we are targeting at.
Got it, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for answering all the questions.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Tarang from Old Bridge Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello. Good afternoon, sir.
Hi.
Just wanted to double check. How is the overall cotton market grown in the 9 months FY21 or Q1 FY21 over Q1 FY20?
Sorry?
The overall volumes in the cotton market, how have they grown?
Cotton has remained stable. They have not grown much at an industry level, but at a company level, we are just down by 1%.
Got it. And just to circle back to your earlier comment, you suggested that mainly the loss in market share in South was on account of maybe you not extending credit, and a part of or majority of it was probably made up by the gains in other geographies.
Yes. We have gained in states like Gujarat, Haryana, and even Maharashtra in terms of the market shares. But if you see in Telangana, if you see the cotton acreages, even though it remains stable, most of the central and northern states were down in terms of cotton. Only Telangana went up by more than 10 to 15% because of the government push. And we have not participated in those markets. That's the reason we have lost market share. Otherwise, in the normal scenario, we are good in terms of the volumes. We are retained our volumes, and we are gained in other parts.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhijit Akela from IIFL Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. Just a couple of queries. One on vegetables. It seems like this year we are on track for almost 40 crore sales for the full year, based on 30 crores done in months.
Yes.
Now, FY22, and we are doubling basically year on year. So can we expect, a similar kind of growth rate next year as well? I mean, hitting, say, 70, 80 crores next year.
So it was a small base. 23 is a small base compared to 40. But definitely our plans are very aggressive and our products are acceptable in the market. Definitely we see that 40 to 50% growth in vegetables with that base also.
Okay, fine. And on the millet side, the presentation states that you're launching some new products in millet. So could you talk a little bit about the market size over there and what's the growth potential for us? Currently, I believe bajra is only 2% of our sales. So where do we see it going in the next few years?
So bajra is a very interesting crop. The country as a whole is not growing much, but in terms of the profitability, it's one of the best profitable crops, high margin crop. So in that we have started investing in Bajra for the last couple of years. More might be we were leaders in Bajra earlier, then we lost some market shares in Bajra. But in the last 6-7 years, we have started investing heavily, and now we are getting new products which we have launched one. I mean, it's a tested one, and the product performance and the pipeline hybrids also looks good. But going forward, Bajra can be just like 7-8% of our revenue going forward, and that's a good profitable growth.
Okay. So this is like a 5-year roadmap you're looking at.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And lastly, on the cotton side, are there any regulatory risks that one should worry about for the next year? I read some reports that Maharashtra government is talking about holding seed companies responsible for seed performance in the event of bollworm attack or something like that. Is there anything to worry about on the cotton side?
No, they were saying for many years, but in terms of the technology, it's not provided by the Indian company. It's provided by a foreign company. For that, government itself regulates the price and the royalty for it. So I think it's legally difficult for anyone to buy seed companies for that, as we never claim that we have developed that seed. Yeah, I mean to say that right.
Okay, fine. Got it. Thank you so much and wish you all the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Deepak Kohli from B&K Securities. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir, and thanks for taking my question. Sir, as you have mentioned that the sales outlook for 22 is 10 to 15%. So can you please share the cotton and non-cotton growth expectation for the coming year?
We said that cotton should be in between 5 to 10% and non-cotton should be in between 15 to 20%.
Okay. And sir, you have already given the explanation that why the cotton there was some market share loss in Andhra and Telangana. But sir, do you see the scenario to improve in the upcoming Kharif season for the cotton?
See, in terms of the market shares, we may slightly, in terms of the volumes, we must remain same in Andhra and Telangana, but in terms of the market shares, we may slightly go up because this time the acreages have gone up heavily in Telangana, but next time we see maize coming up here. So in that scenario and our strategy regarding giving credit to the dealers, we are not that aggressive enough that approach as of now. So it should remain like what we had this year.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That is from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rohit Nagaraj from Sunidhi Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the follow-up. Just one question on the other operating expenses. So for first 9 months, those have gone down by about 23%. That was particularly because in the Q1, the other expenditure had gone down because of the COVID issue. So for FY22,
Hello.
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for FY22, would the base of FY20 will remain in terms of other expenses or will it go up? Thank you.
It should remain slightly, it should remain in the same base. Even in the COVID conditions, we were working, all our plants were working, and most of the expenses are incurred. When you compare to previous year to this year, other income, other expenses, the royalty portion was included in the other expenses. That's the reason the last year it was higher base. So with the current base, we can calculate for next year. There may not be a major change in that.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rohan Modi from Rohan Advisories. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. One suggestion from my side. Can we consider the open market buyback instead of tender buyback? We can save the 40-50% income tax by open market buyback.
Sorry, I was not able to get it.
We have done the buyback in tender offer last 3-4 years. So if we can do buyback in the open market, by buying from current price, we can save the 40-50%, so 40-50 crore in income tax.
So basically, it doesn't make any difference for the company as such, because it might be an open market or it might be a tender process. Company need to pay the 20% income tax.
But the price, income tax price is based on your share price purchase. So if you purchase buyback at 700 rupees, then we have to pay.
Yeah, whatever it is, it all depends on the outflow. I'm just talking about the outflow. On the outflow, it's 20%, irrespective of market buyback or tender.
Okay. But if we buy back from the open market, then the share price is currently around 500 rupees, 550 rupees. So we can save the money on income tax. Or we can put more buyback also. We can buy back more.
Definitely will consider your suggestion. Again, that's subject to board decision.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Tarang from Old Bridge Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. Just a follow-up from my earlier line of questioning. So, are you envisaging any, benefits of in your cotton cost curve going forward? And just wanted to get a sense on the carryover inventory. Has it reduced or is it higher as compared to the last time?
So it's in line with last year numbers. We arrived at 2.5 million packets to start with. We are with the same figure, but end of the day, if you take the fresh production and the last year left out, it will be in line with normal figures.
Okay.
Normal number. And in terms of the profitability, yes, we are working on the GMS technology. Production is yet to arrive this year. Is arriving this year, so that sort of a slight benefit also will get this year.
Okay, but nothing in the lines of what we've actually seen this year, right? Over the last year, because this year a lot of it had to do with royalties freeing up.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Bhavesh Jain from ITI Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Sir, just one clarification on this other expenses. Quarter on quarter, it have gone up by 8.5 crore. So entirely led by promotional activities?
Basically, it's like promotional activities.
Okay. And what will be the write-off, any inventory write-off in this particular quarter?
Inventory write-off is a routine process, and the numbers what we are showing here is including of the inventory write-off.
Oh, okay, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot, and all the best for the future.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be taking the last question. That is on the line of Shanti Patel from Shanti Patel Investment Advisors. Please go ahead.
Sir, I wanted to know after expansion, next year, what was the PAT percentage will be the same as we are getting now? And secondly, what will be the return on capital employed and return on equity?
Sorry, I'm not able to understand that.
I will repeat my question. Next year, that means March 22, 21-22 years, our PAT margin will remain more or less constant as today. And secondly, what will be the return on capital and return on equity?
So regarding the PAT percentage, as we explained, on a year-on-year basis, it should go up by 15 to 20% compared to this year as a base. Regarding the return on capital and return on equity, that's there in the presentation. Right now, I don't have that figure, but it's there in the presentation what we have uploaded to the exchanges.
Not now. For next year. I'm talking about the next year. After 1 year, what will be approximately return on capital?
It will be in line with it. It will be in line with what this year it is. Because as we are distributing a majority of the profit earned to the investors, so it should be in line with it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Mithun Chand for his closing comments.
It has been a pleasure interacting with you over the call. We thank you for taking time out and engaging with us today. We value your continued interest and support. If you have any further questions or would like to know more about the company, kindly reach our investor relations desk. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Kaveri Seeds, that concludes this conference call. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines. Thank you.